Secession threat. National Assembly must pave way for needed change. The National Assembly must pave way for needed change. Malum Fashi. Okay. Oh, he said his name is Malum. Okay. Malum Fashi. A lecturer with the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University, ATBU, Bauchi, Professor Mansour Usman Malum Fashi, has called on the National Assembly to urgently provide the constitutional platform that will accommodate change in Nigeria, even as he declared that the country foundation is shaky. Malum Fashi, who is with the Faculty of Education, ATBU, stated this in an interview with journalists in Bauchi, while reacting to secession threats in part of the country, submitted that the state of the nation was not only alarming but also unfortunate. He said that as of today, every geopolitical zone in the country was experiencing one form of challenge or the other, adding members of the National Assembly were required to bring about the change being demanded by the zones. To be very candid, the state of the nation is really alarming and unfortunate. A group in the southwest is calling for Oduduwa Republic, and others in the southeast are calling for their own Biafra. So you find out that almost every zone of the country is facing one challenge or another, in the sense that almost every sector of our national life is faced by one challenge or another. All the zones in the country look at them. North-east, Boko Haram. North-west is kidnapping and banditry. North-central is farmers' herders cases. South-south, the militants and the vandalization of pipelines, and so on and so forth. You find the issues of insecurity, you find the issues of unemployment, you find the issues of inflation, you find the issues of social explosion. What I mean by social explosion is that you find youth restiveness, youth youth gangsterism, and so on and so forth. The Don said, he said the National Assembly had great roles to play in the current agitation for the restructuring, declaring that the legislature were empowered to bring the change the people wanted. Constitutionally, they are the people required to bring about the change requested by section of the country. You cannot just jump out and say you want a country or self-determination, or we want to restructure the country, he said. According to him, the current reality in Nigeria called for a sober reflection, submitting that there was the need to sit down and look at things as they were in the country objectively. Really, the situation calls for sober reflection of the very foundation of the state, I mean the Nigerian nation. We really need to sit down and look at things from an objective perspective, because right now the foundation of the country is shaky, and we are appealing to people in governance to look at the issue more seriously. Malum Fashe submitted. Speaking on the relationship between the National Assembly and the executive, the professor noted that though there is currently a harmonious relationship between the two arms of government, such should, however, be for the benefit of Nigerians and not to shortchange them. According to him, the National Assembly or Parliament must work together for the general good of the country. We have had situations where members of the National Assembly would be involved in padding the budget for whatever reason, and at the end of the day, whatever is padded is not meant for the people. So a good working relationship would be for the benefit of Nigerians, and I think they are not doing badly, but we really need to put them on their toes so that they will do more because the National Assembly can do better. Wow, this is a great speech. I think all these Northerners are beginning to wake up from their sleep. They are now speaking like humans, just like what the Emir of Sokoto, right? Yeah, the Emir of Sokoto came out to say that we should speak the truth and speak our minds. Now, this is a professor from Tafawa Balewa University. This professor is still living in the past. Oops, he said you can't just come out and say you want a country of your own or self-determination. He constantly referred to us to go back to National Assembly because he knows that they not as a vicious figure as the National Assembly and nothing good will come from there. He should know that those that makes peaceful change impossible makes the violence and inevitable. Okay, that's your own opinion. People that approve state Islamization without National Assembly debate and authority are asking National Assembly to come together to stop secessionists. What a funny government official. Rubber stamp National Assembly can't do the needful things to curtail the lingering crisis bedevailing the country. Our leaders are the outrage who bury this head in the sand, thinking that since he sees nobody, then nobody sees him. They sweep all Nigerian problems under the carpet and go about enjoying their loot. Professor has said it all. If the legislative or the legislature has the nation and not self at heart, but let it be. Remember that the legislature can only operate in a state if it sacrifices the state for itself. Where will the legislature operate? He has said it already that they need to work hand in hand. He didn't just ask us to go to the assembly. He said that all the legislature and the National Assembly needs to work hand in hand for a better Nigeria. That it shouldn't be one-sided. That they need to put their hands together and leave demands of this and that aside. They need to work together. That is what he said. He knows that Biafra demands equal relationship rights, but Fulani said no. We asked for discussion. Fulani said no, that every position belongs to them. Now we are looking for our own nation. So leave us alone. Go with your professional talks. I love you. I love your concern as a patriotic Nigerian. You could have laid much emphasis on national dialogue and not on National Assembly. Amending the Constitution's secession is not an ordinary threat. It calls for national dialogue or referendum. They said it all. Well said. You are just one among the few in the North who will say the truth without fear or favor. But the question is, do you think that this set of greed and careless rubber stamp National Assembly who are just there to represent themselves and only their families alone will have that courage and the fear of God to carry out such reinformation?